Hi everyone, welcome to our video on hustle culture. We are Career Socials, a social enterprise that helps job seekers in Singapore build and enhance their personal brands to attain their dream jobs. So my name is Xiaoshen and I'm here with 4 guests from the Career Socials team. So thank you all for being here, and could you each do a quick introduction of yourself?
All right. Hi, my name is Bertrand.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, I'm Victor.
And I'm Kaining. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so before we move on to our main segment, let's do a quick rapid fire to get a sensing of how everyone feels about today's topic. So what comes to your mind, or what do you make of the phrase hustle culture? Feel free to just go ahead.
For me, it's like being consumed by work.
For me, I think hustle culture is really a trend that's happening now to glamorize the grind.
For me, I think it's also about embodying, being like a workaholic, and like you mentioned, embracing the daily grind. Also, I guess like getting some sense of satisfaction from like achievement and success that comes along with it as well.
I think hustling is more like maximizing whatever you can do at work and really pushing out for, to get all these achievements and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, what do y'all define by like glamorizing the grind? Do you have examples at like your workplaces or like what you have seen from friends?
I think personally for me, I think when you talk about glamorizing the grind, I mean there is the grind is actually when people put in the hard work, but when you glamorize it a little bit too much, it becomes such that you kind of neglect yourself. So like sometimes I see some of my colleagues, they work very long hours, or like they kind of skip meals, and they always walk around saying that they're very busy, I'm very busy. There's like that constant like quotation, right? It suddenly becomes like they feel very proud of being very busy, but for the sake of being busy. So I think that to me is kind of glamorizing the grind. Not really for the hard work sake to come up with an end result, but more like, just love being busy. Yeah, that's my take.
Let's begin with the first statement. Hustling is not a choice, but an obligation.
Okay, actually it's not so straightforward. Because if we are talking about generally for the common day person that is working, usually when they put in a set amount of hours, they are able to achieve sufficient outcomes, and they're also being paid like a fair wage. So in that sense, I feel that hustling and going above and beyond to deliver more is like a choice. But for some people, like hustling comes in different forms. For example, they want to have like a side job outside because they need additional income. So in a way, like for some people, they are working towards something. So it can be like, I'm really obligated to do it. I don't really have a choice. I need to work harder so that I can provide more for myself or like other people around me.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's more of a choice. I know perhaps some people might be kind of subjected to it based on like their personal status, whether it's income level or whatsoever. But I think for the general population itself, it's most definitely a choice. Although there might be some form of like societal pressure, maybe looking at other people's like social media accounts as well. I guess people like to showcase, the achievements they've had accomplished in their life, etc. And we as individuals may feel either obligated, or we may resonate or not. I guess it really depends on each individual, right? Like some people may not even want that kind of life to begin with. So I think it's really based on like each person's take on, what they're willing to let go, or maybe what they're willing to so-called like suffer for in that sense. So it's really at the end of the day like what people want with their life, essentially.
I think the main takeaway I got from Bertrand's comment was really whether you are doing it intentionally or not. Like, are you pressured to go with the flow, and if everybody's hustling, then you want to hustle together with them, even though you don't really know why, or you don't feel happy, or is hustling really something that makes you happy and you are doing it for a clear and meaningful intention? I think that's the core difference. Like, I think everything in life is a choice, a bit philosophically, and I think hustling because everyone else is, and you think that's obligation, is still actually a choice. Even though you are doing it because everybody is doing it and you have no choice, actually having no choice is also a choice. So ultimately, my bottom line is that it's always a choice, like whether you choose to admit it or not. Yeah, and I guess then all of us have to bear the consequences of making certain choices, in life, whether to hustle or not to hustle.
Yeah, I agree with all the previous statements as well. Hustling is really a choice. It really depends on what you're willing to give up and how you prioritize your things as well. If let's say there's a particular goal that you're trying to reach in your career, for example, you're applying for a promotion, then of course you would definitely be more, willing to actually hustle and spend time outside of work to do work. So yeah, I think ultimately is depending on what you want to do and what you're trying to achieve as well.
Great. Okay. So moving on to the second statement, there is no time for breaks and we have to keep hustling.
I once had like a conversation with one of my colleagues who is like a workaholic, who turned to become like very work-life balance. So I asked the person like, what inspired your change? And then like the person told me that after consulting a psychologist, the person told him that if work is the only thing that's giving you joy, what if one day it no longer gives you any joy? You kind of don't have anything else to look forward to. So it's kind of important to also build a life outside of work.
Actually, to that point, I think that's a very large part of why when people retire, they feel like super lost. They just feel like their world come crashing down. Like maybe even like on a more extreme scenario, if somebody gets retrenched, suddenly they lose their job, right? Then they feel very shook because they don't know what else to live for. Like they don't know what else they are worthy of, or what their life is worth if it's not in work. So I think it's very dangerous, like a slippery slope kind of thing to go down. Yeah.
The last question is, a lot of people feel that there is no way out of like hustle culture. Yeah, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think there's no way out of hustle culture if you are looking to get promoted or you're looking to prove yourself, if those are the objectives that you have, right, then it's almost impossible for you to not hustle, right? Because you're always going to be in a competitive field whereby your boss is considering whether to promote you or other members of your team, right? So in that respect, if you are vying for a promotion, you're vying to be recognized, then you definitely still need to hustle to a certain level. So I think, yeah, if there, in some cases, there is really no way out of hustle culture, right?
It's talking more about people who are already in the hustle culture, whether they know it or not. And I guess the question is whether there's a way out for these people. Is that right to say that?
For yourself lah, like
Okay, so like if you are trapped in hustling, like is there any way to get out of the cycle? For me it's like seek friends. I think teamwork helps. So I feel that like as a team, if you all like say we will work like confined hours because that's what helps our team the most, you are able to break the cycle.
from a personal perspective, there is really a way to break out of the hustle culture. And maybe one of the less so-called less popular beliefs is that actually hustling could it be a limiting belief as well? Like you believe that you have to work to the bones in order to achieve so-called success in your life. But what if there is a easier method? Like can you simplify things? Can you like the typical, can you simplify, can you automate? Can you make things work out for you such that you don't need to work very, very, very hard to get everything that you want?
Just like the famous phrase, give the laziest person in the team the hardest thing to do because they will find the easiest way to do it, right?
Yeah. And also like, you know, that I'm not sure if anybody read the Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Work Week, right? So anyway, I was very inspired by this guy. I read his book a couple of years back where he said that, you know, this guy actually worked 4 hours a week only, and he actually runs a business. And then he explains how he can do it. And he says that, you know, the 8-hour work day is like a human construct. It's just because some random person created that idea, then it's stuck with everybody's head that they need to work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, a minimum, in order to do productive work. But he said that, you know, he can automate everything, he can outsource something, he can simplify it. And then he only works 4 hours a day, and he's already more productive than people who work, you know, like 8 hours a day. Yeah,
4 hours a week essentially.
Yeah, 4 hours a week. Yeah. So I guess it really crushed my notion of like, what is productivity, right? Like if some people can achieve so much with so little time, then is it really time that is the essence, right? Or is it being smart about the time? Yeah, quite mind blowing for me.
I think it's working smart versus working hard. So some people are working hard on a lot of manual processes where they can potentially automate, or they can find some tools or some other productivity tool to actually maximize whatever they're trying to accomplish, right?
But then another thought process is, what if Tim Ferriss didn't only work 4 hours a week, but he worked like the normal human thing? Then can he build like 8 businesses, something like that? Like, yeah. So anyway,
Why not? I would say that highly likely. But I guess he's like satisfied with what he already has, right? Maybe the income stream that he already has on a recurring monthly basis. Then he dictates that 4 hours is sufficient for me to have that kind of lifestyle. Yeah.
No, actually, I feel that it's harder to work 4 hours per week. Like the amount of intelligence and discipline to get to that level is insane. Because like you really need to, I don't know how to say this in English, 你真的要锻炼的 until you can like do it that way.
Cultivate.
Yeah. It's like some people who are extremely productive and can finish things super quickly. Hey, by the way, can I ask a question? Like, to your how is hustling defined? Like is it by the number of hours you work, or like the amount of output you produce, or other things, other definitions?
I think the general consensus is that it's time, right? You're spending a lot of time on work, then that's what I define on hustling, right?
Yeah, I think time and also like the lifestyle you lead. Like always being very busy, doing something, whether it's work or something else, but not taking time for yourself to like just chill and relax.
For me, it's going above and beyond what typically is, let's say, expected of you in the job, or what people normally do. It's like, it's a little bit of the intensity as well. Like the same 8 hours can be spent very differently from person to person. So like, do you put in the extra effort, not hours, the extra effort to do it well? Yeah, I think that is the crux, I think, to hustling.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of you. I think to me, like hustling is more of like how much you want to put in, like what y'all said, to like reach a certain level of quality in terms of your output. But hustle culture is kind of like, it's also like a product of, like you see the people around you, and it shapes like the culture and the environment that you're in, and how it constantly like keeps you hustling every day or hustling very hard just because everyone else is. So it's kind of like a lifestyle thing that's been like perpetuated by the people around you also.
Yeah, actually the culture part of people around you is very true. Like certain companies or industries, like let's say like IB or maybe auditing, we may say that it's because of the nature of work. But who dictates the nature of work? I guess it's the people above them or people around them. So I think that's really the culture that they are brought into or being trapped in, essentially.
I think every one of us is a hustler in some way, right? We hustle for certain things that we are passionate for. And maybe for some people, it may not be hustling at work, but they may be hustling for their own health. For example, they would go to the gym or go for spin class or whatnot, then they're hustling for their health, right? Does it mean that you need to hustle for only for work? You should also hustle for other things outside, right? Hustle for your own relationships, hustle for your own health. These would be things that I think you should, we all need to open up our mindset and really think about what exactly are we hustling for, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be for work, right? So yeah, I think that's where I stand.
Actually, that's very whole,some. Like the
We are
notion
all
about
hustlers in our own right.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis and like pride, or rather they glorify like people who hustle for work, or like let's say for finances, etc. Then people who, let's say, they don't earn so much, or maybe they are not at a place in their career where they're like a director or VP, etc. Then would they feel like less as a human being? And I think that's what society is like tending towards now. But then what Victor mentioned about hustling for certain aspects of life, like your health, your relationships, these are things that are very important, but a lot of us overlook because we tend to go with the crowd, right? Like what is seen as like glorious, which is like, in your career and your finances, you're doing amazing. Yeah. So I think in that way it's a bit toxic, like the ways where we're trending towards as a society.
Like, there's no one fixed direction that you need to hustle towards. Everybody should just create their own.
That is like common wisdom, but very hard to implement in your life, I think. Because ultimately, like, you feel very affected by your peers, right? Your friends, and then what people tell you, then you feel like you need to act in a certain way. That's why back to the first question about whether hustling is a choice or an obligation. To many people, it feels like an obligation. Because it's so hard to make a free-spirited and independent choice in a world where you have to survive with other people and like relate to others. You're not like a one-man island. You have to work with other people and you need to try not to be affected by them if you want to make a very conscious, independent, isolated choice.
Okay, thanks everyone for sharing your thoughts so candidly. Before we come to the end of the video, do y'all have any like final words of wisdom or comments for the viewers out there? Feel free to share your thoughts.
If I might share first, I think hustle culture in itself, I think just now I also mentioned there can be healthy and unhealthy ways. And like what Megan shared about setting boundaries, I think that is important. I think that really draws on the point of self-management at the end of the day. We may want to hustle in a sustainable manner throughout our lives, but can we do it in a way that does not compromise some of our essential needs, like my personal health, my relationships? And also, I think the added view of like, what am I hustling for? Like, I need to have that clear purpose and ambition, rather than just seeing what other people are doing and then I feel FOMO. I think that shouldn't be the case. I think that is like putting yourself in a position that you may end up not knowing why you're in that position to begin with at the end of the day. Yeah, so I think it's really having that purpose and ambition and having that self-management, in your lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree. I think be intentional. So always ask yourself, like, why am I here? Do I have something to do? And what should I do about it? And then do the task. Otherwise, you can prioritize other needs. And I think that another issue is that some people don't know that they are stuck in hustle culture. So, like, to advise on that front, I would say trust your gut. So sometimes, like, people who are very new to working may not have like a baseline to see that they are actually trapped in hustle culture. So expose yourself to different perspectives. Like, try to network with different people and ask them about like how their work is going and like how many hours are they working, like what are they expected to do as part of their job scope. And then you can kind of see if you are committing to something too much or whether you can actually try to negotiate for like a different working arrangement. I think it's possible. Sometimes, like, if you really feel that this is infringing on your personal like time outside of work, or you feel that this is becoming unproductive for me, I feel that you can definitely sound out your line manager about it. Just tell them that this arrangement is not helpful for me and can I do another arrangement instead, and this allows me to function at my fullest potential. I feel that this will be effective for you.
I think to add on to what Megan was saying, and I think for many of us, we don't really know what is the fundamental level of intensity that we want to put in that makes us the happiest. So I think one thing I would do is actually to take it as a mini exercise. So like you just pretend that you're going through different scenarios, right? So or maybe in 1 month or 1 whole year, right, you just hustle like crazy. Then you ask yourself whether you're happy during that process. Then maybe the next year you just like totally like chill, like balance your life and chill and everything. Then you ask yourself, are you happy? Right? Then from there you can kind of see like, what kind of life really suits me? Because maybe some people enjoy hustling, but some people enjoy chilling. So you yes, you can ask external, but you should also try it out for yourself. Try both spectrums. Then you can slowly moderate and tweak to see like what is the ideal status quo that you like.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
But within moderation, don't get fired.
Yeah.
I think one piece of advice I'll give to people who are trapped within hustle culture, right, is that really to stop comparing the number of hours being worked and really look at output, right, and really look at how people are working and look at the kind of tools and the ways that they work that is different, that make them more efficient. And upskill yourself and really find all these different tools and for automation to automate your work, right, and make things simpler, such that you spend less time on doing a lot of the repetitive tasks and optimize your time for improving yourself, and really pick and choose the kind of projects that you want to do, that you want to hustle for, and then for certain projects that may not have as big of an impact, maybe you might choose to chill, right? So I think it's really about how do you really want to optimize all these things, such that you can achieve the goals that you have in mind. Yeah.
Great. Okay, I think y'all really like summarized everything really well. I would say, like what we said earlier, sometimes it's like better to like strategize a bit and like work smarter on some fronts, and like so you don't have to hustle so hard or so many hours on things that are like manual or not so necessary. So yeah, I think that's all we have for this video. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one, hopefully.
Hey, thank you.